What's up, you beautiful Redditors? Hope you're having a fantastic Sunday. Welcome to the RNEWS evening show. And let's just jump into it. From r/politics, Trump supporter admits voter fraud, says she voted twice for president in viral video. Asterisk voted twice for Trump in the 2016 election and she's still on probation for it. Flushed if that's true, she shouldn't have been able to vote this year, I'd like to think. She didn't need to, she already did it. Actually, I kind of think committing voter fraud might be the one crime I think should disqualify you. At least for a time. Does she get to win the $1 million prize? It's actually only $25,000. And only if she's convicted. And only if the lieutenant governor decides to pay it out. Trump literally tweeted to his followers to do this. Would love for Biden's lead to widen and for hundreds of Trump double voters to wind up in prison. If they did this. I encountered someone like this once. He said he had his 5-year-old daughter fill out a mail-in ballot and submitted it to show how susceptible to voter fraud a mail-in ballot was. When I pointed that means he committed voter fraud, I didn't hear anything else out of him. It takes some real mental gymnastics to think committing voter fraud to own the libs is a sound strategy. See, that proves there's voter fraud, so Trump wins. Or some such nonsense. You're watching the RNEWS show. From r/politics, is that too socialist too? Quote, AOC pleads for second stimulus checks and rent forgiveness as pandemic rages. Watch the GOP complain about the deficit under Biden. If only Democratic leadership could counter that narrative. Well, I guess Republicans will just accuse Democrats of overreach and socialism. What's that? Jim Clyburn has spent more time on camera attacking the far left than Republican obstruction. Hooray bipartisanship. Mitch has already brought it up at least once. They're already gearing up for it. No freaking stimulus either. It's their goddamn game plan time and time again. Just read this. www.reddit.com. The post-election stimulus was a bribe for voting Trump. Voters rejected it, so now there is almost no chance he goes along with it. Did Moscow Mitch even want Trump for second term? He seemed content with all the stuff GOP have pulled past 4 years, especially the Supreme Court. I don't think Mitch McConnell gives a crap. Honestly, he is sticking with Trump for now with the sole intent of energizing Republican voters in Gar so he can maintain power in the Senate and continue on with his frickery. He'll drop DJT as soon as he's no longer useful to him. Meanwhile, farmers are receiving government subsidies. They are against handouts. Guess who most of them voted for? You're watching the RNEWS show. From r/politics, Department of Homeland Security calls election the most secure in American history. Well, someone is getting fired. The White House also asked Brian Ware, Assistant Director for Cybersecurity at CISA, to hand in his resignation, which he did on Thursday. According to Reuters, that was fast. Is there some way to restore these people to their jobs and make sure they get to serve out their careers and get their full pensions? I mean, this is ruining people's lives because Trump is having a fit. Yes, it's called the presidential transition, which will give Biden government resources to vet and appoint people when the new admin takes over. Unfortunately, that is now being blocked. Spoiler alert, nothing will. Sounds right. If there was any Democratic candidate that should have calmed them down, it was Biden, and it hasn't. Stop the crazy. Remember that there are foreign actors in this and the other subs. Several governments would love to see the US government fall apart. Comments like those stink of bad faith actors trying to sow the seeds of autocracy. Do they deserve to be ripped off? Yes. Am I upset about it? No. And this explains their most recent Homeland Security firing. It's like Anderson said, he's taking people down with him as he's like an obese turtle lying on his back under the sun. Rim_Steve Job. What I'm hearing is that future elections should be at least as secure as this one. You're watching the RNEWS show. From r/World News, Egypt discovers 100 intact, sealed and painted coffins and a collection of 40 wooden statues in 2020's biggest archaeological discovery in Egypt. Go fish, I had hordes of flying death locusts. Hey, let's open these sealed sarcophaguses. 2020 is almost over, what could go wrong? There are hordes of locusts and supernaturally gifted undead roaming the streets. Please stay inside. This is a complete violation of my rights. And the Constitution does not allow it. These are mummies that don't even kill 99.5% of people they curse. I'm going to a bar. Preserving the past is horribly expensive for countries with such long history. Sometimes they have to choose between their past and the future. I don't know the specifics of this case. Maybe they could have done both here. As an Egyptian, I'm happy that the archaeological team was 100% Egyptian. Finally some progress in the educational field. COVID-19 BC it is. You're watching the RNEWS show. From r/news. US becomes first nation to cross 10 million COVID-19 cases as third wave of infections surges. It's more like a stadium wave. You can't really tell where one ends and another begins. But I'll be damned if it doesn't just keep going around, and around, and around. Before the third wave really started, they did some tests which estimated about 10% of the US, or around 30 million, had been infected thus far. So almost the population of Canada, or the country of Afghanistan, as opposed to the city of Afghanistan. Third wave. Did I miss the point where we actually finished the first? Edit. The amount of people that think I was being serious about this is insane. I was making a statement in jest, and so many people were deeply offended. I don't think most people understand that. Still, the first wave is per Fauci. Edit. Because people are confused by the definition of a wave. We're talking about folks who are now becoming symptomatic and testing PCR positive because they've had exposure and infection in the preceding 1 to 2 weeks, said Sanford Hospital infectious disease consultant Dr. Anothe Mateo. However, experts say this is not the second wave. A second wave, when you look at textbook definitions, means the first wave has come and gone, Mateo said. Emphasize. You're watching the RNEWS show. From r/politics. Amend the Constitution to prevent another Trump. The majority leader only holds that power as long as their party allows them to. The GOP could have replaced McConnell at any time if they didn't like what he was doing. They are just as complicit as he is. Asterisk 250-year-old 4-page document. We based our country on something literally shorter than an IHOP menu. Thanks for the correction. If only the Founding Fathers had had the bravery to include even a half stack of buttermilk pancakes for every American. And that's where we're going to end today's show. But if you like what you saw, leave a like. And if you want to see more of the RNEWS show, hit that subscribe button. As always, this has been the RNEWS show and I'll see you tomorrow.